Hey Longhorns, Miss Escamilla here, and today we are working on area day 4. Today we're going to start talking about composite area. And what does composite area mean exactly? Composite area is just a fancy way of saying we have multiple shapes, we're going to add them or subtract them together because the area of these shapes add or subtract. We're not really going to focus on any with subtraction, but there might be some later on. I just want to throw that in there. So what exactly does this look like? What happens is you have an odd-looking shape. This is clearly not a square, rectangle, rhombus, parallelogram, trapezoid, anything. It's kind of an L shape. And we want to find the area of it, and we're going to do that by breaking it down into smaller shapes. Now, first we need to know a couple of tricks, and really the trick is that if your horizontal height, vertical height, I know what I'm talking about, is 5, then you're also going to have a height of 5 over here. So if this section is 2, this section right here has to be 3. And same thing's going to go for your horizontal length. If that down there is 6, then left to right down here needs to be 6. Here we have 3, so here we have another 3. So now we have all of our dimensions labeled, and I suggest doing this at the beginning, but if you want to do it later on, that's completely fine. And now what's up to you is how you're going to break down this shape. Do you want to break it down into one long rectangle and a smaller one? What do you want it to look like? And I'm going to do the first example like this. And I'm going to call this rectangle 1 and rectangle 2. Rectangle 1 is 3 by 5, so the area would be 15. Rectangle 2 is 2 by 3, so the area would be 6. And because composite area means we can add these two areas together, we just do 15 plus 6, and we get 21, and then our unit would be feet squared because it's area. We're going to do the same example again now, and we're going to split it differently and see what happens, because we want to make sure, right, that no matter how we split it, we're going to get the correct answer. So I'm going to take this 3 and 3 from the last problem. I don't need to re-split it. I already know those dimensions. And this time I'm actually going to split it into 3 rectangles, just to show you that, hey, it doesn't really matter how many you split it into as long as you fill up all of the shape. I'm going to call this rectangle 1, rectangle 2, and rectangle 3. Rectangle 1 is 3 by 3, so it's 9 square feet. Rectangle 2 is 3 by 2, because this is a 3, it matches down there, and this is a 2, it matches to the right, and it would equal 6. And then rectangle 3 would also be 3 by 2, and it would also equal 6. So we would have 9 plus 6 plus 6, which still equals 21 feet squared. And this just goes to show you that as long as you're making sure you take up the whole area and do all of the formulas correctly, however you break it down doesn't matter. Now, to refresh you on some of your area formulas, you have parallelogram, which is equal to base times height, triangle, which is base times height divided by 2, circle, which is pi r squared, and semicircle, which means half a circle, so pi r squared divided by 2. These are going to be your most common formulas. Of course, you could use any area formula you know, but these will be your most common ones. So let's do some more examples. Right here we have a beautiful heart shape. What shapes do you see? I like to trace them all, even if they're traced for me. And I like to label everything because of who I am as a person. So if this is 2, this is 2, this side is 2, this side over here is 2. I'm going to go ahead and do my rectangle 1 first. And it's 2 by 2, so the area is equal to 4. Next, I have a half circle. I said a half circle is going to be pi r squared divided by 2, and my radius is going to be half my diameter. If my diameter is 2, my radius is going to be 1. So I'm going to do pi r squared divided by 2, which would be pi 1 squared divided by 2, and that simplifies to pi divided by 2. Or 1.57. Do the same thing for this other half circle. I'm going to do pi, radius is again 1 squared divided by 2, and get another 1.57. So if I add up all my areas, I get 4 plus 1.57 plus 1.57, and I get 7.14 inches squared. Here's another example, and this time you have 3 shapes. If the total length of the bottom is 7, and we know this right here is 4, that makes this right here 4, which means this right here needs to be 3. And this 2 is talking about right here. So I have triangle. I'll do the area of the triangle is equal to base times height divided by 2, so that would equal 3. Go ahead and put the 3 in there. I have the rectangle, which is going to equal base times height. So 4 times 6, which is 24. And lastly, I have another half circle, or semicircle, which is going to be pi r squared divided by 2. Your radius is going to be half of your diameter, so pi 2 squared divided by 2 would simplify to 6.28. And now to find the total area, I would do 3 plus 24 plus 6.28, and I would get 33.28 meters squared. This is going to be the last example, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do it. One in which we split it into normal looking shapes. I'm actually going to split it into pretty small shapes. This one, this one, this one. And some tips for where to split it is look at your corners and just go down or right or left, basically. If you start at this corner right here, I just went down. This corner right here, I went right and I went down. Anywhere there's like a distinct corner is a good way to split it. Okay, this whole length right here is 10. So if this is 6, this part right here must be 4. If this is 5, we have 5 right here and 5 right here. This is 7, so this is 7, and this whole length needs to be 15. 5 plus 7 is 12, so this right here is 3, and this 4 matches right here. So now I have a triangle, and I have rectangle 1, rectangle 2, and rectangle 3, and I'll label them 1, 2, and 3, so you know which ones I'm doing. My triangle's base times height divided by 2 would equal 3 times 4 divided by 2, which is equal to 6. My first rectangle is 7 by 4, or 28. My second rectangle is 4 by 5, which is equal to 20. And my third rectangle is 5 by 6, which is equal to 30. You add them all up, and you get 84 inches squared. And then here's a really crazy way to do this last example, right? Like, let's just say you wanted to have some fun, which honestly, completely up to you. What you could do even, I said start at a corner and split, is I could split these into 2 trapezoids. Now, I wouldn't recommend it. I definitely think it's easier to do rectangles, but as long as you can see the shape you're doing, you're fine. I know the height of this is still going to be 4. I know the height of this is going to be 5. So then I have trapezoid 1 and trapezoid 2. Trapezoid, I don't know why I did that, 1, sorry team. Trapezoid 1 is going to equal base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. So 7 plus 15 times your height divided by 2. And trapezoid number 1 is going to equal 44. Trapezoid 2, man, I really keep doing that, is equal to base 1 is 6, base 2 is 10, height is 5, divide by 2, and that's going to equal 40. 44 plus 40 still equals 84 inches squared. So really what I want you to get from this example is it doesn't matter how you cut it as long as the shapes make sense. There's an area formula for that shape and you're using the correct numbers. Don't forget that is your horizontal distances and your vertical distances need to be equal on both sides and you'll be good to go. Let your teacher know if you have any questions. Thanks guys.